Wait a second until I get the streaming going here, or I'll mess up. It is 7 o'clock, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Chiillicothe City Council to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members, city officials, and our streaming audience. Welcome to the January 27, 2025 City Council regular meeting. We're meeting at 26 South Paint Street, Chiillicothe, and I would ask the clerk to call the attendance roll.
Bennett,
Present.
Payne, Nickerson,
Here.
Barnes,
Here.
McKeever,
Here.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Here.
Prohl, Creed.
Ms. Payne has to be out of town. Her father passed away, and I know that we've got Mr. Creed let me know that he couldn't be here, as well as Mr. Prohl. So I'm going to ask for a motion to excuse those individuals. Motion by Mr. McKeever, seconded by Ms. Bennett. The clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston,
Yes.
Those individuals are excused from this meeting. I would now ask Mr. McKeever to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The minutes from the January 13th, 2025 regular meeting have been distributed. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the minutes? Motion by Ms. Bennett, second by Ms. Nickerson. The clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Minutes are approved as distributed. At this point, I'm going to ask for a motion to amend the agenda. The agenda shows at item number 4 and number 5, two separate items, when number 5 is actually an amendment to the resolution that is set forth as item number 4. So I just, at this point in time, will ask for a motion to amend the agenda to remove item 5, and then at the appropriate time, we'll ask for an amendment to amend item 4. Is there a motion to amend the agenda? Motion by Mr. Dement, seconded by Ms. Nickerson, and the clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
The agenda is amended. Now we'll move to reports of committees. Development Committee, Mr. Dement.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Development has nothing on tonight's agenda and nothing to report. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Engineering Committee, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Engineering also has nothing on the agenda and also nothing new to report. Thank you.
Mr. Prohl's not here for Finance and Technology Committee, and I don't believe that there's anything that needs to be reported tonight. So we'll move on to Human Resources Committee. Well, Ms. Payne can't be here also, so we'll now move to Parks and Rec Committee. Ms. Nickerson.
Thanks, President Shoemaker. Parks and Recs has nothing on the agenda tonight, and we have nothing to report. Thank you.
We will skip the Safety Service Committee since Mr. Creed is not here. Utilities Committee, Mr. McKeever.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Utilities has nothing on the agenda tonight and nothing to report.
City Services Committee, Ms. Preston.
Thank you, President. City Services has nothing on the agenda tonight and nothing to report.
Community Affairs Committee, Ms. Bennett.
President Shoemaker, we have 3 things on the agenda tonight. 2, 3, and 6 are nonprofits awards: $50,000 to the Humane Society, $40,000 to Hope Partners, and $50,000 to Community Action. We still have 3 pending that we're getting the language done correctly. Earlier this evening, we had a meeting over 24/117, and lots of speakers, lots of good information. So we're going to move and hear more in the future. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. We'll now move on to reports of officials. Mayor Feeney.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Just a quick couple items. This past weekend, there were 3 fairly significant structure fires in the city of Chiillicothe, all within 72 hours. And I just want to offer my thanks and appreciation to the fire department for responding to those. Well wishes to those involved. Just kind of, sometimes they go in streaks. Unfortunately, this time is in 3s. But a reminder of the good work that they do, and just happy that everybody came out of that safe. And on that front, safety services, the chief was here earlier and did not brag, but he could have because the Ross County PORT team, which stands for Post Overdose Response Team, I guess PORT team is redundant, PORT received an award from the Ohio Deflection Association for the good work they're doing in the community. So basically, that is a group of law enforcement, city and county, sheriff and police, community action, other people who follow up on overdoses and connect people with resources. So I just want to give kudos to both of those departments for the continued good work they're doing. And that's it for my report.
Thank you. We'll move to the auditor.
I do not have any items on the agenda tonight and nothing to report.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to the law director.
Thank you. We've been very busy dealing with all of the issues of late. Additionally, I wanted to give everybody a heads up. We are losing Teresa Wood. She's going to be retiring after decades of work. The big problem is everything's in her head. So trying to replace her is going to be a nightmare. We are working on that. However, we believe it would be in everybody's best interest if we could get somebody quickly to replace her and just work with her every second of every day until she leaves. Otherwise, trying to get this legislation and everything through timely it would just be a nightmare with a new person that knew nothing. So you will be seeing something about that soon, hopefully, because she's only going to be here through April. Thank you.
I believe the assignment's already been made to committee, so I will try to move that as quickly as possible. Next, we'll move to audience participation. Any person wishing to address the council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes, and I'll give you a warning when there's 1 minute remaining.
Jason Link, 17 Mead Drive here in the fine city of Chiillicothe. I want to first say thank you to President Shoemaker for being the only person of the council members who responded to my email. So thank you for taking the time to respond to my email. I would still be interested. I have not received yet what the estimated carryover for 2024 will be for the city. The mayor has commented several times of late about the good financial position that the city has been in over the last couple of years, and it's a good thing that the city's in a good financial position. We need to keep that. But again, I'd just be interested to know what that 2024 carryover is. Not looking down to the penny, but an estimate of what that would be. I come with the same questions, concerns that I came with 2 weeks ago. On your agenda tonight, expenditures of $80,000 on what I would consider non-essential projects, while also asking for a tax increase. We can split the semantics, whether it's an increase, whether it's a rollover of what's already been in place. If the city has a surplus, and such a surplus that the council can consider $80,000 in non-essential projects, and I think the council should seriously consider whether they're going to continue to ask the taxpayers of the city to bear the brunt of this 0.2% increase. As I asked in my email, I'd be happy to receive the financial rationale that explains the necessity of this 0.2% increase. Mr. Shoemaker, I apologize, I wasn't at the January 8th meeting. I do receive all the notifications, as do all the people who are on that email list. Frankly, I find it very difficult to keep up with your schedule. I don't know how you all make all the meetings that you make. And apparently 3 of the people can't make the meeting tonight for various reasons, but maybe that's something to be looked at by the council. I find it just very difficult to keep up with all the different committees, meetings, all of these meetings. I would imagine that the majority of the people in the fine city of Chiillicothe do not even know that the city council is considering this 0.2% re-up increase on the income tax. And I think that's a problem. It's interesting to note, I looked today, the agenda for city council meetings hasn't been posted on Facebook since April 19th. And the agendas and minutes haven't been posted on the city website since June. So not sure why there's a delay in doing that. I'm not sure why that's not being done. But if you really want the people of Chiillicothe to be involved, then you need to let people know what's going on. And I'm going to say it, maybe you don't want people to be involved. Maybe you don't want people to come to the meetings and to voice things, but I'm going to keep on coming. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie Brown, 98 Douglas Ave. I'm just going to make a few comments in reference to the committee meeting earlier. Just thank you all for the dialogue there. I'm going to spare you the emotional appeal. Just a little background for myself. I work with WIOA workforce development programs and substance use disorder peer mentoring with Children's Services for Sojourners Care Network in both Ross County and Gallia County. We primarily serve runaway and homeless youth and folks in crisis and homeless situations. And so what I just want to present to you all is just some numbers and concepts about homelessness in the context of chronic homelessness. So one of the things that was alluded to, but I think is really important when we talk about this issue. So I want to commend Community Action and the great work they're doing. Most folks who are in a situation to receive service at a place like the Community Resource Center are going to say yes. That's a neat, you're homeless, do you want a place to stay? Yes, please. So what gets convoluted is like, why would a person not say no? I'm going to help you understand that. So depending on the research, I do, sorry, just an aside. I took to heart some things that I think we had a good dialogue. So I'm going to take out the condescending tone that I had in these notes. I'm just going to remove that because I'm operating in good faith. I think y'all are good-natured folks with good intentions. So I'm just going to give you some facts here. So the highest percentage of folks in homelessness, what they have in common is between 57 and 70%, depending on who you're asking. Folks who think homelessness is not quite an issue, they'll say 57. Folks who say homelessness is a really big issue, they'll say 70. But the majority, the plurality of folks who are in chronic homeless situations are people with untreated mental illness. I think it's really important for folks to know there are two, depending on what point in time counts, that's when you count actual homeless folks. Depending on which one you look at and the studies reacting to it, there are two disproportionately affected folks in that homeless population. That's LGBTQ folks. I'm not going to open up that. I'm passionate about those, but I'm going to open up what I think universally we'll agree on. Veterans, disproportionately. represented in the homeless population. So homelessness nationally, 18% increase in the last 3 years. In Ohio, depending again on whose research, it's between 8% and 15%. So it's getting worse. Even when folks are being, we won't get into that. It's getting worse, right? So in Ohio, it's between 8 and 15%. There is one population, sorry, that sounds like condescending. There is one population that has had a decrease nationally and locally in homelessness, and that is veterans. Condescendingly, my notes here, a lot of rhetorical, but it's because, I just want to be clear, so 8% nationally is that decrease in veterans homelessness, and it was not because of any ordinance or regulation where they could or couldn't sleep. It was intentional investments in housing, expanding social services for Medicaid and SNAP benefits, which got veterans access to mental health and behavioral services. And it also was about using those as bridges to workforce development and job readiness skills in this civilian world. The solution and what the facts is just clear. It's investment in specific needs for specific people. The folks sleeping out on Charleston Pike, those are mentally ill people. Those are seniors, those are veterans, and untreated mental ill folks. I just want to affirm, because you'll probably hear other folks kind of speak to it. I just want to affirm, why I was triggered was because it is a little disheartening that the first reaction to our community to deal with the homelessness issue is like a new law or enforcement of law, rather than we have data that's clear, like getting folks out of homeless situations really has to do with the investment in treating untreated mental illness. That number, again, the low number is 57. So at least half of the people.
I'm a notoriously bad timekeeper, but you got a minute left.
I appreciate that, Kevin. At least half of the people on Charleston Pike are just undiagnosed with mental illness, according to the statistic. I'm a person that believes that's closer to 70. I have some anecdotal experience, but if only half, then half of those people are the most vulnerable in our society, and I would just appeal to the humanity of the room. I understand, we all agree, we need this. Folks should not be sleeping down by the Scioto. That is dangerous. But how we approach it is really going to define sustainability. I know no one wants to put those folks in jail, but we should be putting them in houses, and that's going to mean spending more money and maybe more tax.
Thank you.
First, for those of you who attended Ohio State University, such as I did, we want to congratulate you. But because so many people here have graduated from the Ohio University, I want to have a shout out to them, including one person who attended, which is Steve, who missed last meeting. And you know what? I think you had a perfect attendance until that time. And the Fourth Ward is well represented. As for attendance, we may disagree on policy, and quite honestly, I think we will have a conversation down the road about what best way to proceed in the Fourth Ward and the City Council. But I just want to have a shout out to Steve for Dr. Link, Reverend Dr. Link. This is the guy who is here almost all the time until last couple of weeks ago, and I want to say thank you for that.
Please state your name and record.
Sorry, for the record, it's John Thacker, 990 Columbus Street, apartment 307, Chiillicothe.
The only thing that upsets me is I've had perfect attendance and I never got one of those at school, so I just wanted to point that out. Is there anyone else?
I'm Wes Souders. I live at 13 Applewood Drive. I'm also the senior pastor at Trinity United Methodist Church. I stand here to represent both Trinity and Walnut Street's congregations in opposition to any criminalization of homelessness. We need to address it as a community and work with each other in partnership. I think that's the way to go. And we want to encourage you to think that way. I'm also encouraged to hear the mayor's and the police chief of police conversation around future. I know Julie and I have worked together quite a bit. I've always been passionate about homelessness and literacy. I think the two may go together. And I just want to encourage this council for compassion and decriminalize. Just, you cannot criminalize this. It's just morally wrong. There are other options. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none. Thank you.
Alex Malinix, 335 Vine Street, Chiillicothe, Ohio. I just want to say, a community, we should come together, I think. I found passion in helping homeless or unhoused people. I've actually found my passion because I used to be one of those people that said, you know, hey, they have nice clothes, or hey, they have nice shoes, they're clean, they're not homeless. And when I started working with or around the unhoused, I found out, well, somebody's clean because we have places like the recovery center that I used to volunteer at. they had a shower. They have clean clothes because it just got donated. It's just, it should be a crime to criminalize them. And that's just my opinion. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ethel Flugie. I live at 56 Limestone here in Chiillicothe. I'm 88 years old, and I go to Trinity. I'm so proud of our church and our pastor. He came to our church about 4 years ago, and we were giving showers to people. Our secretary took the dirty towels home and washed them. It was all just our little local effort. And our new pastor, Wes Souders, came, and he said, "Why would you let people take a shower and have to put on dirty clothes?" He said, "We need to do their laundry." So we got a washer and dryer. And this last couple of months, we got the second washer and dryer, commercial one, because that's how many people need some clean clothes. I know a lot of our people that come. I volunteer, and I have for almost 2 years. We serve lunches Monday through Friday, and I volunteer on Monday morning, and I've not missed but 1.5 hours in almost 2 years. And God told me to do it, so I did it. So I think if all of us look in our hearts and see what God is telling us to do, and the decisions we need to make and how important it is. And we have one fellow, of course, we know them all by names, you know. Anyhow, we have one fellow, and he's 84 years old, and I'm 88 years old. Can you imagine somebody 4 years younger than me having to come to a shelter to get food, shower, clothing? Can you imagine 84? Can you imagine your grandfather having to do that? This kind of thing is happening in Chiillicothe. And most all of them are good, honest people. A lot of them have mental health issues that they do not want to be with other people. They want to be camping. My husband was a highway patrolman. We had 4 little kids, and we never went to a motel. We went to a motel one time in the 18 years, well, 30-some years that we had kids. And I would just like you to think about people like this 84-year-old gentleman that comes, and of course, most of them are younger than him. Just think about if it was one of your parents or somebody you loved. You need to look at them like it's my relation. It's my relation, because you really are connected with God. It is your relation. You are related to them. We're related to you. I'm related to all of you. I'm so glad I'm related to Luke Feeney. I voted for you. Anyhow, we are really blessed with the city of Chiillicothe. I was a Head Start teacher over in Highland County. I was a deputy clerk of courts. You know, I've done a lot and seen a lot in my 88 years. And the biggest thing is to look at these people like you're looking at your child, because it could be your child. It was my child. One of my children in California was in a homeless shelter for safety. She had to flee because of safety, because of the man she was with. And I got a call in Ohio about my child in California. Can you see? Would you ever dream that your child could be in that situation? It can happen. It can happen to you. It can happen to one of your relatives. So look at each one when you're making these decisions. Think of it being one of your relation or your child, because we're all God's kids in the end. Thank you for listening to me. Amen.
Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Renner. I live at 98 Douglas Avenue. I'm definitely heartened by some of the conversations that I heard earlier, and I do thank Lisa for opening it up that way. Just hearing her message inspired me. I'm also a Head Start teacher, and I have many families, and some of those families I have served have been unhoused and have been homeless before, and many of them do need mental health supports, and we do need to be focusing on that and spending money on that. And when you actually work with those people and serve those families and actually get to know them as people, like she said, you kind of humanize them and realize they are just another human being and they want a safe place to be. I just also want to encourage you to not go down a path that criminalizes that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to old business. Is there any old business to come before the council? Hearing none, petitions and correspondence.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I've not received anything.
Well, as Dr. Reverend Link mentioned, we got some correspondence that I responded to, and there is some more information that we'll be getting to you to make sure you've got all the information that you need. And there have been a couple other requests that we've received, and I'll coordinate with the mayor relative to some of those requests that we've gotten also. Next, moving on to new business. The only thing relative to new business is the law director reminded me that there is sunshine law training for elected officials that needs to be completed. So I will mention that to all of the elected officials here in the room so that we know that we get that taken care of at the appropriate time. Next, we'll move to the reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. We have 5 items on our agenda this evening. Item number 1 is a third reading of an ordinance appropriating $30,000 for the construction of a disc golf park at Goldie A. Gunlock Memorial Park in partnership with Project Bad Apple.
The clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
No.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 2 is the second reading of an ordinance appropriating $50,000 from unappropriated general funds for the Ross County Humane Society's Animal Care and Adoption Center project and declaring an emergency.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda.
Item number 3 is the second reading of an ordinance appropriating One Ohio opioid settlement funds in the amount of $40,000 to the Hope Partnership Project.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda. At this point, I would entertain a motion to amend the language of the resolution that was previously read, and I see that I have a motion from Ms. Preston. Is there a second? And that motion then, just for clarity, the second is by Mr. Dement. That would be to add the language that is item 5 on the agenda, which we just amended and took off. But that's the language that will now amend item number 4. And we'll now call the roll relative to that motion.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
Resolution is amended, and we'll move to the next agenda. Next ordinance.
The first, number 6 is the first reading of an ordinance appropriating One Ohio opioid settlement funds in the amount of $50,000 for the Ross County Community Action Commission.
Ordinance will move to the next agenda. Is there any other business to come before council this evening? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms. Bennett, seconded by Ms. Nickerson. Clerk will call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Nickerson,
Yes.
Barnes, McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Preston.
Yes.
We are adjourned.